made it. You made it to Thank Ganja It's Friday with your boy Bruce Lively and the the illuminated, well informed, intelligent, the illustrious co-host herself, Laura Malcolm, is also here. What's up, Laura?
That never fails to crack me up. Oh, all good here. It's been a wild week of weather and weather-related groans and moans for me, but nothing compared to what folks are going through after Helene and Milton. So I'm
Yeah,
not complaining.
it's very crazy. That is crazy. I wish there was a way we could have you turned up. Uh, See if there's a
Let me
volume
see.
on the mic for you.
Yeah, it's my phone, I think.
Let me see here. I'm gonna try to turn you up in my thing. Um,
Yeah, I'm maxed, volume max.
okay, so people, we did. I also did a live show with our friends at the Sons of Liberty, talking about all of the crazy stuff going on with as far as conspiracy theories and just everything that the right wing is doing to destroy our lives. I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand it. Hurricanes, disasters used to be off limits. They're no longer. Nothing is now off limits. We're living in a hellscape. So that happened. People are hurting, and we'll keep our ear and eyes out so we can tell everybody what's really going on. Don't listen to
What?
the
Which
lies.
one?
But
Which one of those crazy witches was it today? The other night was it Haba or Trump Laura saying that there was floating babies? I mean, they won't go any. There's no low they won't go to.
yeah, I realize that. People always say, "I can't
Yeah.
believe that they." No, no longer with the "I can't believe." Like the truth is, there is no low. Anything that you can imagine in a horror movie can and will be used. Believe it. So, but that's not why we're here today. Today we're here because yesterday there was a speech done by a former world leader, and it was important. It was the speech of the year. Everybody who has seen it, all of the pundits have reacted to it. Everyone's saying that this was what the campaign needed. This is what Kamala needed. This is what, quite frankly, America and the world needed to hear. A frank and um, clear message, a rebuke of the lies and the ridiculousness, a call to action as well as a call back to decency. Uh, Barack Obama spoke, who is quite frankly this generation's political um, oracle. Okay, he's just the best at it. He has been for a while. Now, we decided that in order to really cover this, there's enough of just watching this between me and Laura and talking about it from our perspective. This was big enough to where we wanted to get the temperature. We wanted to find out the reaction from across America. We wanted to get people like a focus group, a round table, if you will, of people who we know and live this stuff, politics, um, as well as not just across America, maybe even around the world. And hopefully today we have that. We've got people joining us from anywhere from Cali all the way to North Carolina. That's why we have it looks different today. We got the full Zoom. People will be joining in, as well as I may have someone from Australia joining in who used to live in America, who still has American citizenship. Okay, so they live there, but have lived here. They were a LaFace employee. If you know who that is, this is the people who put out people like Pink, TLC, um, and the whole entertainment world that was Atlanta in the 90s. This is the guy who worked with all of them. And so we're going to get a dual citizenship perspective too if we can get him to join in soon. But we're gonna watch this speech. We're gonna watch this speech and tell us who we have coming in. Introduce these people. They're not here yet, but tell us who we have coming in, Laurel, before we watch this amazing speech that I haven't seen yet. It will
Well,
be my very first reaction.
yes, and you are in for a treat. We are expecting Benny Loco, who is everywhere. And if you don't know Benny Loco by now, what's wrong with you? She's a moderator extraordinaire on multiple channels, has been around for a long, long time, now has her own channel along with Diane Russell called the 21st Century Suffragettes. And they just ended a pop up live stream since Hal Sparks was not on tonight. And she's just asked me for the Zoom code again, and hopefully she'll be able to pop in with us momentarily. And my other invitation to TV2 in Michigan. He's also got a channel of his own. He does a lot of streaming. This last week, he's been streaming, restreaming the January 6 hearings. He does a lot of the congressional hearings and
Oh,
a lot of other stuff he streams too. So, he's hip to all of the ins and outs of of the political landscape currently, and is also a mighty troll um, whisperer.
yes, I know he's got some of the best trolls in the world.
Uh,
Trolling extraordinaire. I actually spoke about that as far as the Lincoln Project. I put out
mm,
that
yes.
video about the Lincoln Project and how good they are at trolling. We can add TV2 to that as well.
Macaroni's actually in Asheville, North Carolina. I invited him. He said he might join us, but he thinks he'd prefer to just stay in the chat remarks. So he hasn't joined us yet, but we might see him a little later on in the show.
That's all right. So here's
But
the deal.
he's just disgusted and appalled by all the disinformation and lies and
Yeah, that's actually. You know what? So while we're waiting on a few people to join in, I want to make sure that we have that perspective from at least a few other people. Um, let's take a look at exactly what I did with the Sons of Liberty. I just got a couple remarks here from them that when I was on their live, and that's what we were talking about was simply this uh, this absolutely unconscionable response of desperate people to lie and put up conspiracy theories in place of having decency or ideas or admitting to climate change in place of governance. They're left with lies and conspiracy theories. Let's take a look at um, some of what it is we talked about, and there's some pretty funny stuff. Check this out, guys. While we're waiting for a few people to join in, again, if you're just joining us, we are going to be watching the full Obama speech, but we are going to have people from across America and maybe even the world, if they decide to join in on the Zoom, invited to watch it with us so we can have a response that maybe a few others haven't had, something you haven't seen. Um, check this out. Hey, thank you, Stephanie B. Too. Thank you for that for watching that video. Maybe we can show that too while we're waiting, but we won't wait too long. We are going to get to the video. I know that's why you're here. But real quick, check this out. This is what I did with the Sons of Liberty channel. If you guys don't know who they are, you better ask somebody because they are the Ishnet. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that with one side of the brain or one side of the mouth, you can say, man's not causing climate change, and then say, man is controlling the weather. It's impossible for man to cause climate change because God is in control of the
Uh-huh.
weather. God is the only one who can control the climate and the weather. How hubris of us to think that we're doing anything that could control the weather. That's
Yep.
God's domain. By the way, you're controlling the weather with the push of a button, making it do what you want despite God's will.
Uh-huh.
I
Like the
You know what I'm saying?
the
Like the idea that any of those two things can make sense to you, the truth is, it's whatever you need to believe to feel good at night, to let the
yep.
rich people win. Whatever you need to believe that your vote is somehow not about being a horrible, indecent person who's losing favor and power. And whatever it takes to get that back, you'll say. Oh man, did you hear that, Laura? If if you guys are just joining, if you saw that, um, if you're still out there, yeah, that was a just a piece of it. I'll play a few more. That was a piece, and we were just talking about how is it possible for people to believe to, or not to believe in climate change, or how is it possible for people to believe these crazy things? And I brought that up. I'd like to know what you think about that. It, instead of what it used to be, that there's no possible way that humans can cause climate change. It's God's domain only. Those exact same people are so willing to say, "Oh yeah, but humans can control the weather exactly down to a point of attack with a push of a button." It's no long they can pry the weather out of the hands of God. I find it to be apropos of exactly every single thing that they say and do is just about whatever it takes to win in that moment, right? Can you hear me, Laura?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just sort of distracted here with Benny Loco having a little issue with Zoom.
Oh, okay. Check that out. Check that out. So you guys, I don't know. Can you? If anybody's in the comment section, comment about that, talk about that. I'm gonna show you the next clip while we're trying to get Benny in here. Okay.
Just join the chat, and then maybe we can explain it to her. She tried entering the code. She says it's not working. I don't know what's going on her end, but hopefully we can get her face on with us. And TV, I hope he hasn't nodded off. it's it's pretty early for him too. He's usually up a bit later.
I'll bet you $10 that Donald Trump is sleeping on his couch in his gold-plated apartment in New York City because
Oh,
Melania
1,000%.
won't let him in the bedroom with her because she's got her security guard guy in there.
Oh.
Hold on. But I thought, hold on, guys. I thought that Trump, I thought he was waiting the water.
Between the cats, right?
Did you see the picture? He's waiting water with the people lifting up pets and dogs.
If he were the true Messiah, he would be walking on that water, not in that water.
I don't know if you saw that picture. Who else saw that AI picture of Trump like wading through the water? Did you see that one, Laura? Like he was in Florida wading through the water with the rescue workers. Oh my gosh. All right, your microphone is off.
Sorry, I was laughing and saying, yeah, right, as if. If anybody believes that, oh boy, well, We've got several bridges to sell them.
Yes.
Benny says she typed in the codes exactly as we gave them to her, and she only has 2 more tries left. Technology sucks.
All right, hold on.
So I just asked her to come into the chat room. I'm not sure why those.
Hold on,
that's not working.
I'm gonna get it to you online. All right, guys, let's take a listen to this music while we get our people together. Hold on. Lift on our backs. Okay, guys. Well, as we're waiting for people to come in, we're having some difficulties. We still have people supposed to be coming in from across America and even overseas. I just spoke to some of the people.
Yep, Macaroni and Gloria have joined us, and Benny's just gonna pop into the chat until we can figure this out. So I haven't heard from TV2, but I just saw my notification bell go off, so he should have seen his.
Okay. All right. So, this is what we're going to do. I am going to start this video. We're going to listen to Barack Obama here, and we're going to watch it together. And the point is to get the to get the response from more than just me and Laura. So this will be my first time. I probably won't stop it too much, but we will stop it whenever one of either our special guests, if they're in here, if they come into the Zoom, show up, ask or want to make a statement or a review, or if we have something that we need to stop it for Gloria or for Macaroni, or for Stephanie B2 that are in the chat. So let's get ready to watch this, and you guys control the show. This is for you guys.
Benny! Oh, it's okay. I know technology can suck sometimes. I don't know what the issue is, but better to have you in the chat than not at all.
And we definitely want your perspective. We want you to tell us, what stood out to you, what's standing out to you, maybe what you missed, the context, you know, for your life or just for politics in general that you thought, when you hear something that you think means something that has context we need to know about. We want to hear what you have to say, guys. So as we're watching, keep typing, let us know, and we'll stop it and we'll talk about what you want. That's what this is for. This is for not just watching it, but responding to it.
I mean, I watched the speech as it was being streamed live. Unfortunately, I couldn't switch over to our channel to get it up in time there. But I missed a lot of it too, and I can listen to it over and over regardless. He was holding it in for a long time. You're in for a treat, Bruce.
All right, guys, here we go. Let's do this.
Hello, Pittsburgh! Are you fired up? Are you ready to go? It is good. It is good to be back in Pennsylvania. It is good to be back in Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh. I love the people of Pittsburgh. I love the food in Pittsburgh. I don't usually do this, but this is a little bit of a Yelp rating. Just had some of Pamela's pancakes. I first had those like 10, 15 years ago when I was running. And I was all like, I need some of those pancakes this time out. And even though I'm from Chicago, some of you may know, when I was a kid, I was a Steelers fan. And watching the Steelers this season, it seems I'm not the only guy from Chicago who likes being in Pittsburgh. Because so far, Justin Fields is doing pretty good. Now, before we get started, we have a little bit of work to do here. All right, so I want everybody to be, just settle in. We got some work to do. Before we get started, I did want to say...
If you don't know who Justin Fields is, that's the quarterback. Went from Chicago Bears to the
heartbroken
Pittsburgh
about the loss of life in Florida, North Carolina, states across the Southwest. We are thinking about people, families whose lives have been upended by the storms over the last couple of weeks. I could not be more grateful for the first responders and FEMA professionals who have put themselves in harm's way to try and help. It's times like this when you realize having honest, competent leadership in government really matters. It makes a difference. And today I'm asking you to vote for some of those leaders, including some folks we need working with your outstanding governor, who you just heard from, Governor Josh Shapiro. We need them in Harrisburg. So we need you to vote for your next Auditor General, Malcolm Kenyatta. Your next Attorney General, Eugene DePasquale. Your next State Treasurer, Eric McClellan. And my buddy, your outstanding United States Senator Bob Casey. Now here in Pennsylvania, there are 3 ways to vote. You can vote early, in person, at the county election office, or at a satellite office. You can also vote by mail. And if you need to figure out how to do that, just go to iwillvote.com PA to find a place to vote early or to request a ballot. And of course, you can vote at your polling place on Election Day, November 5th. But if you're at this rally, let's face it, you're probably voting unless you are 12. So you also have to help your friends and family make a plan to vote.
That's right.
And even if you're 12, you can do that. Talk to your mom and dad and aunts and uncles, because together we have a chance to choose a new generation of leadership in this country and start building a better and stronger and fairer and more hopeful America. Now, you've already heard tonight, this election is going to be tight, because there are a lot of Americans who are still struggling out there. They're still striving to make life better for themselves, for their families, and for their kids. And let's face it, as a country, we've been through a lot these last few years. We had a historic pandemic wreaking havoc on communities and businesses. Disruptions from the pandemic then caused prices to spike, and that put a strain on family budgets. And in many ways, it's felt like the aspirations of working people have taken a back seat to the priorities of the rich and the powerful. So I get it, why people are looking to shake things up. I mean, I am the hopey changey guy. So I understand people feeling frustrated and feeling we can do better. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you, Pennsylvania. I don't understand that.
Real quick, I don't understand that either. I wanted to get something out here that I saw. Laura, you said that they changed the rules in North Carolina right now so that everybody can vote by mail? Or everybody affected by the hurricane only? Or you have to prove that? Macaroni, can you tell us? This is why I wanted the perspective of so many people. This is the whole point.
Big Mac, what's the scoop on that? I tried to get him on Zoom. I tried. Let's see. And already, Gloria says there are already lawsuits by Republicans over mail-in ballots. Of course there are.
Benny Loco, where are you that you already got your ballot in? You said you already mailed it in and got the email saying that it was counted.
All right, John voted straight blue ticket Wednesday. Welcome, John Deaf.
Welcome, Gloria. So if we can get more information, Mac, if you let us know where are the rules for mail-in North Carolina since the hurricane? You said they changed the rules so that everybody can vote. Let us know what's going on. Is it just for you have to prove you were affected by the hurricane, or is anybody can vote since the hurricane came? Let us know.
Yeah. He's given a partial link. This is Roy Cooper talking about the lies from MAGA about relief. He also tells everything officials are doing to help. Great interview on MSNBC. Okay. Do you have anybody here have a link about the vote by mail change for hurricane affected? People in Asheville will be able to vote by mail, he says. That's just Asheville, huh? Or the surrounding area?
All right, yeah, I'll let you find out what you can about that. We'll give updates as we go through. We'll continue playing this.
Yeah, it's concerning because it's a very blue area, so we want to make sure to get as many votes as we can. I feel selfish to say that, but it's the reality.
No, it's very important. This is life or death. All right, let's hear what he has to say. I think the
Darla's here. Wasn't going to, but she decided to vote.
Because there is absolutely no evidence.
Stop. Did I just hear Darla decided to vote?
You did. You heard it right here, right now, live. I'm proud of you, Darla.
You're my hero, Darla. You're my hero. We spoke about it and why it was important to vote. And this just goes to show that we're all in this together, folks. Speaking to people, telling the truth, not denigrating people, but being honest. Everybody out there can do their part. Everybody out there can speak to somebody. And even there's some disaffected people right here in my own neighborhood. And the ones that I call our heroes are the ones who were saying that they didn't want to vote, but then finally came around. They didn't just say, put their hands up and ended up voting. I say that you are the salt of the earth. Nothing but kudos. Nothing but kudos. Thank you.
True patriot. And Democrat. And Bill M is here. I'm not saying you voted Democrat. I'm just saying that's the democratic thing to do in this country or your country is vote. That's your number one job, I think.
All right, here we go, guys.
That this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. You've got the tweets in all caps, the ranting and the raving about crazy conspiracy theories. You got the 2-hour speeches, word salad, just, it's like Fidel Castro. Just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who does that? Selling you gold sneakers and a $100,000 watch and most recently a Trump Bible. He wants you to buy the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you saw it on Saturday Night Live, you'd say, well, no, that's going too far. No, he's doing that. It's crazy. And the reason he does it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than a means to an end. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his country club buddies. Doesn't care if he costs more women their reproductive freedoms because it won't make a difference in his life. Do not boo. Vote.
There it is.
They can't hear your boos, but they can hear your votes. Most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the quote-unquote real Americans who support him and the outsiders who don't. Because having people divided and angry, he figures boosts his chances of being elected. And he doesn't care who gets hurt. I mean, think about it. Just the other day, we learned that on January 6th, a couple years ago, Donald Trump was told that Mike Pence was in the Capitol about 40 feet from an angry mob chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." And his response was, quote, "So what? Don't boo." If Donald Trump does not care that a mob might attack his own vice president, do you think he cares about you?
That's the question that nobody asked.
Pennsylvania, we do not need 4 more years of that.
That's
We
why
don't
it's a
need
communication.
4 more years of
None of it.
arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story, one that helps us work together instead of turning against each other. Pennsylvania, we're ready for President Kamala Harris.
Okay, we can clap. Yes, great orator. But this is why there are so many people who I almost forgot it. After all the years of the craziness and foolishness, I would ask myself, who was the person that voted for Obama and then voted for Trump? Who was that person? And I remember why. Because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it takes someone telling you, listen, you may find a way to excuse him, saying no big deal or so what to them going after Mike Pence. But you can't say that when he reminds you, if he'll let them do that to his vice president, what do you think he'll let happen to you? What do you think that he will do when you're on the line, when your money or minimum wage or health care or anything, if he's willing to even do it to the person who's been close to him for 4 years? That
Or
type
even
of
to-
question goes past the rhetoric, right? That type of question.
Look what he's done to Rudy Giuliani, who's been this bestie, the only person in New York that could stand him for 60 years or whatever.
And it seems so obvious when you see that. When you see that, it's like, oh my God, look at what's happening to these people. But nobody's asked that question. If he'll do that to Giuliani, what do you think he'll do to you? If it meant having power. Not about right or wrong. Not about right or left. If he'll do that if he'll let Giuliani, his best defender, the Republican, the right-winger, his backer, fail and fall and go broke in his name, what do you think he'll do to you, Republican? What do you think he'll do in your name to keep power? That's just a great question. That's why he's an orator. Let's go.
And the good news is Kamala Harris is She's ready to do the job. This is a leader who has spent her life fighting on behalf of people who need a voice and a change. Somebody who was raised in the middle class, who worked a summer job at McDonald's while she earned a degree, who believes in the values that built this country. Somebody who has served with distinction in every office that she has ever held. I think we probably had a fainting spell back there. So let's make space for the emergency folks. This happens sometimes. Everybody bend their knees a little bit. You've been standing for a while. You can dance if you want. I just suggest bend your knees. But she'll be okay. Kamala is as prepared for the job as any nominee for president has ever been. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz. Tim is a veteran. He is a teacher. He's a coach. He's a hunter. He's been a great governor working with Democrats and Republicans to get stuff done. He can also take a vintage truck apart and put it back together again. You think Donald Trump can do that? For that matter, do you think Donald Trump has ever changed a tire in his life? I'm just trying to picture. The point is, if you elect Kamala and Tim, they won't be focused on their problems, they'll be focused on yours. They understand that too many folks here in Pennsylvania and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. Even though wages are steadily growing and inflation is finally slowing, the price of everything, from health care to housing to groceries, it's still too high. And that takes a real bite out of paychecks. It hurts. So the question is, who's really going to do something about it? That's what you should be asking yourself. Now, Donald Trump's plan is to do what he did last time, which was give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. And then, don't boo, I'm going to break you of this habit. And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good, because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts. His other big economic plan now is to slap tariffs on everything, from food to TVs. Now, understand what.
Okay, I feel like I have to stop there for two reasons. I have to stop there for two reasons. No one else has been able to say it, because the minute that you say it, our collective memory has been so short, and it's so easy to say, you're lying. That's not true. It only takes someone like Obama to say, yes, I did do that. We had 75 straight months of upward climb in our economy, of job growth, of economy growth, GDP growth, numbers, money in. and money out. Growth. And he came in and it kept growing at the exact same rate. As a matter of fact, if you look at the numbers at the scale, it didn't even go like this or like that. It just stayed like this for another 2 years. Like it never stopped. And you have to ask yourself, well, all you had to do was do nothing to keep that happening. But if you said that, people would go, no, that's not true, or, why are you giving the credit to blah, blah, blah? But he can say that because he's the one who did it. So that's why you need him to speak. Number two, how does helping the middle class, someone asked, how does helping the middle class help those who live in true poverty? Now, here is the breakdown of that. Helping the middle class means that they have money to go to Walmart. Helping the middle class means that they have money to go to McDonald's. The middle class is who drives the economy. When you give someone who is in destitution, absolute destitution, you say you're going to help them get out of poverty. The only way you can really do that in any real numbers is through a really large amount of safety nets, because there's really nothing else. You have to wait 4 years if you're talking about education. Yeah, you need that too. But the immediate help they need to be able to invest, to save, if their car breaks down, they can pay for it and still go to work and still have savings, is only through a gigantic safety nets. When you help the middle class drives the economy. So they go shopping more, which means that those people that Walmart only wants to pay $9 an hour, those are the destitute people. They have to hire more because the middle class has money to spend. When you go to McDonald's more often, they have to hire more. When the middle class has more money to spend in this capitalist society, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but this is how the economy works. When the middle class has more money, the people who are in dire destitution and in very low poverty have more chances. They have more agency. They have more job choice. Those types of things help them. Now, the idea is we need both things. We need both the safety net. We need both the idea of free education. We need also tax credits for extremely poor people. But in the economy that we're in and in the climate that we're in, where people are saying people who aren't affected by a hurricane decide not to go back in and give money for hurricanes because they don't want to spend it, asking them to give as much money as necessary to get poor people out of where they are is a non-starter. But helping the middle class grows both sides of the economy. Rich people get richer, poor people get richer, and middle class people have a chance to reach into the higher stratosphere of making money as well. That's just how this economy happens to work. So I'm glad you asked that question, Darla. Hey, my Australian friend, Mr. Shelton, is looking for this passcode. We're about to see him in 1 second.
Awesome.
Let's keep clicking.
Harris up. Anything that's coming from out that's made elsewhere and comes here, you slap extra money on top of it. And if other countries are cheating, in some cases, it makes sense because you want to have a fair playing field. But what he's proposing is basically a Trump sales tax that could cost the average family almost $4,000 a year. So if you're concerned about higher prices, that is not the way to get lower prices. That's going to come out of your pocket. You think prices are high now? Donald Trump's message basically is, you ain't seen nothing yet. All right, so that's as far as you can tell, that's his point. right? Because it's not written down anywhere. When it comes to health care, you heard it in the debate. Donald Trump's got one answer. Ending the Affordable Care Act that 45 million people rely on.
Oh, we're going to come right back to that. First, I have to introduce Mr. Shelton is here. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Does he?
Can
I
you-
just took a big old hit off of my vape. I didn't realize my camera was on. TGIF.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Hey.
Can you hear
Welcome.
us, Mr. Shelton? Mr. Bailey? Not yet. All right, guys, this is the friend I was telling you about. He, a business partner of mine, as well as a good friend. He also used to work with LaFace Records. He's also a business owner as well as a, well, I guess you could call it contractor. I'll let him tell you. But he's the exact kind of person that I think has the type of views that many of us may not have. Not only is he all the way in Australia, he also has dual citizenship. I want to hear what someone, other than us, happens to think about a speech like this. What comes to mind when they hear something like this around the world and across America? That was the point of today's message. And I'm hoping let's see if he can hear us. Can you hear us, Mr. Bailey? Hello.
Hey,
There he is.
oh my God.
Welcome.
Mr. Bailey, you're here live and on the air, so you don't say nothing foolish.
Okay, I'll try.
Yes, everyone, you're here with Mr. Bailey. This is Mr. Shelton Bailey, my business partner. I told you everything about him. I'll let him tell a little bit about himself a little bit later as we continue to watch this this awesome speech by Barack Obama. But I wanted you just to say, hey, Mr. Shelton, and I was telling them that you do also still have dual citizenship, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right, so you'll be sending in your ballot as well.
Oh yeah, done deal.
Done deal. You already sent it in.
Done deal.
Outstanding.
Right
Outstanding.
on. Nice.
Outstanding. So, you saw it, and I know that you're ready to give your opinion on it, and I definitely want the perspective of someone who's living outside of America, and who's a business owner there and an artist. Well, we'll say a
I mean-
artist, right? So we'll be talking to you about that.
I love it's funny because practically on a daily basis, I have, Australians and people that I meet here from many countries, because Australia is quite multicultural now, much more multicultural than when I first got here 20 years ago. But people are really concerned, and I wonder if America on a whole realizes the sort of impact that they have on the world, the influence that they have on the world, and the concern that has been created over the last 10 years over this sideshow that's pretty much been a part of everyone's consciousness, whether we chose it, liked it or not, No, seriously. I was watching a news clip, and I think it was Nicole Wallace. She said if a child behaved like this in primary school, they'd be expelled.
Right.
You know?
Right. As a matter of fact, I think he said that somewhere in this speech.
Yeah. Primary school children are much better behaved.
You got to put down your mic. Put down your mic,
Murder.
Laura.
Okay.
Say it again.
Yes, no, good. That's very true. That's very true.
You know,
Primary
but
school children are much more well behaved.
much more well behaved. That stuff would not be
Well,
tolerated.
because they receive punishment for their actions.
Exactly.
All right, so let's continue watching. We're going to get more of your input as we go on further, but thank you.
Shelton,
thank
Shelton, have you been able to watch this at all so far, or
Yes,
are you
yes,
just
I watched it.
okay?
Yes, I watched all of it.
Okay,
Yes.
he's just hitting his stride now. Let's go.
Let's go.
The other day, his running mate, J.D. Vance, had you gotta vote.
Don't boo. Vote.
The other day, his running mate had the nerve to say, Donald Trump salvaged the Affordable Care Act.
It's classic.
I mean, Donald Trump spent his entire presidency trying to tear it down. And by the way, he couldn't even do that right. And now, 8 years after he was elected, when he was asked about what he was going to do, he says he's got concepts of a plan for how he'd replace it. Now, I want you all to think about this for a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment, a project. He says, I need this on Friday. And Friday comes around and he says, so, did you finish that project I asked for? And he says, well, I actually haven't started, but I have a concept of a plan.
Come on.
Or you could try it at home.
Killing it.
Honey, did you do the dishes? I have a concept of a plan to do the dishes. How's that going to go over? If it wouldn't work for you,
Right.
why in the heck should it work for the President of the United States?
Goes back to the primary school idea. Same thing. You can't just at the right time.
But the good news is,
Accepted anywhere.
Kamala Harris,
job,
she doesn't have
anywhere.
concepts for a plan. She has an actual plan to make your life better. To bring down the cost of things like groceries. She'll go after corporations that are jacking up prices. Just like she went after big banks and for-profit colleges when she was an attorney general in California. And believe me, when she does, nobody's going to want to stand in her way. I remember after the home mortgage crisis, Kamala pushed me and my administration harder than any other attorney general in the country to make sure homeowners got a fair settlement. It did not matter that she was pushing a Democratic administration. She was not going to let anybody stop her from winning as much relief as possible for the families who deserved it. And because of the work she did, those families got billions more than they would have otherwise got. That's the kind of president Kamala Harris will be. To lower housing costs, Kamala will cut red tape and work with governors like Josh Shapiro, as well as the private sector, to build 3 million new homes. And she'll give first-time home buyers up to $25,000 to help with the down payment. Plans, concrete plans. And for a lot of folks, that could be the difference between watching their dreams pass them by and finally owning a place of their own. To lower health care costs, Kamala already worked with Joe Biden to take on the drug companies and bring down the cost of insulin and hearing aids and more than 50 prescription drugs. And as president, she will never stop working to limit out-of-pocket costs and protect your care. That's who Kamala is. She's got a track record of doing it.
Now, this track record, hold on. I'm going to just stop one quick second. Think about Donald Trump's voters are kind of the same people who are the Fox station viewers. They're all over 60.
Mhm.
What does it take to be a person over 60 to actually see your drug prices go down, get your hearing aid cheaper, apply and get all the things that you need that you've been given, that you notice in your real everyday life, and still say the country's going to hell? I gotta vote for Trump. And still say voting against your own self-interest. And what that is, Laura and Shelton, is the lies. If you read the book 1984,
Yep.
it talks about this. There's the minister of truth, the ministry of truth, which is basically when you can make people believe things that aren't true, and to the point where they can repeat it and close their eyes to it, the mind does a crazy thing like Stockholm Syndrome. The mind will actually not see the truth around it and believe the lies that are told. And this is why he lies so much. This is why he fearmongers so much, because the truth is, those people are in a constant fear-based mental state, fight or flight mental state, and reason has gone.
Spinning and spinning and spinning. It doesn't matter about if you want to try to explain it to me. There's another one coming. Go away. There's another one coming. Go.
Right.
Yeah,
So
just keep.
even though your life
Well,
is better.
in line with that, look at what he even named his social media site, Truth Central.
Exactly.
Truth
is-
social. Yeah.
It is so 19. That is so true. I didn't even thought about.
Truth Central. Or as he calls Truth Central. when he,
Truth Central.
Truth social. It simply means the lies we tell now is the truth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Shelton. I'm a Canadian, and some of it's leaked up here. I mean, always we're affected by what goes in the United States, but it's really kind of getting stinky up here.
yeah.
I mean, I go into my vape shop, and he's an anti-Justin Trudeau, anti-liberal, whatever, and I keep my fingers on my nose. I go in there to buy my juice, and you know, the guy's got a vape shop, and he's. How do you think you got to get a vape shop,
How do you
buddy?
think you were allowed to have a vape shop?
Exactly.
Oh my God. But I think, lastly, how dangerous that is. It's funny until it's not. That level of anti-truth thinking, that level of mental distortion, that person can do anything. That person.
Alternative facts was the other one.
The alternative facts.
I've just heard with name after name after name, title after title after title, and I'm like, doesn't this bother you?
No, it doesn't mean anything. That's what the Ministry of Truth was for, is to make sure that words don't have meanings. So when you say I believe in the Constitution, you have no idea what it is. You've never read it. And everything that you say is constitutional is anti-constitutional. You say God invented the Constitution. It was made for Jesus. It was made for Christians. And all through the Constitution is telling you, no, it's not. But Constitution doesn't have a meaning. It just means good. Me good, you bad. Whatever I say is me. Fact-checking is the latest one. Fact-checking.
Yeah.
Fact-checking is now a negative word. And the two words are completely positive. Facts and checking.
Yep.
But now, because they have simply just said it negatively for so long, oh man, what are you doing with all this fact checking? Fact checking has become a bad thing. And you can just like going in to buy your cheaper drugs and to get your life-saving drugs and being capped at $1,200 or whatever it is. You can buy it at the same time. You can have your own vape shop at the same time saying, I hate liberalism. Because me good, that bad. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch.
And here's the big one. Instead of giving more tax breaks to billionaires and raising prices on working families, Kamala will give a tax cut to 100 million middle class and working people here in America. So, if you're a new parent, you could qualify for a $6,000 tax credit during the first year of your child's life. Because I don't have to tell a lot of you, raising kids is hard. And she wants to make it easier to afford stuff like a crib or a car seat or diapers. I remember buying diapers. I remember the first time I went in the store, right after Malia was born. I was like, what? That's how much diapers cost? I remember changing diapers.
Wait for it.
You think Donald Trump ever changed a diaper?
Wait for it.
Yeah. I almost said that, but I decided I shouldn't say it.
He's
Now,
a class. He's
guys,
a class act.
someone slow like me, I was wondering what that meant until I realized. I'll say it. Your boy Donnie wears diapers, remember?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that. I was like, what is he talking about? And everybody's dying laughing but me. So if you're slow like me and you didn't know what he was talking about, it would have been an impressively low blow for him. And he decided not to do it, which I'm happy for.
But he knew someone would say it.
Did you guys get a chance to see Jimmy Kimmel?
I didn't see Kimmel. What did he say?
Oh
He went right
man,
in, huh? You know, he has no, yeah.
Trump said, I don't have to be doing this, trying to redeem himself. I don't have to do this. I could be, away at one of my beach homes and
Yeah, I saw that. What a gross
with this
guy.
beautiful body on the beach. And Jimmy Kimmel said, could you see that body on the beach putting an orange slick on the ocean? I lost it. Boom.
Oh my
I've heard him say some funny stuff, but that one, I was coughing. I was laughing so hard.
All right.
With
Well,
a-
on that note, while we get that picture out of our head, all of us, let's continue to watch.
If you're starting a small business, Kamala Harris will give you a $50,000 tax credit to help you get it off the ground. That's who Kamala Harris is. That's what she stands for. So with Kamala, you've got actual plans. Trump, concepts of a plan. Now, if you challenge Trump to elaborate and enumerate his concepts, he will fall back on one answer. J.D. Vance does the same thing. Doesn't matter what the issue is, housing, healthcare, education, paying the bills. Their only answer is to blame immigrants. They want you to believe that if you let Donald Trump round up whoever he wants, by the way, and ship them out, all your problems will be solved. Now, we've got real issues at the border. We are a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. We have to make sure it's fair. There are communities at the border that can be overrun. We've got to actually solve a problem. But when I hear Donald Trump talking, I've got one question. As I recall, Donald Trump was president for 4 years. And if rounding up and deporting millions of desperate people and building the beautiful wall, and didn't matter whether some of those folks you rounded up were women and children, if that's the answer to everything, well, why didn't you solve the problem? Why were the number of immigrants basically the same when you left office as when you took office? I'll tell you why. Because he didn't have a real plan. He had talking points. He had concepts of a plan. And the plan was mean and ugly. And it was designed to enhance his politics and make people angry, not to solve the problem. You know what would actually help bring order to the border and fix our immigration system? The bipartisan deal that Kamala Harris supported, even though it was written by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress, the same bill that Donald Trump tanked on purpose because he thinks fear-mongering is how he's going to win this election. He told Republicans, even the ones who had originally supported, don't vote for it, because he doesn't want the problem solved. We don't need a president who will make problems worse just to make his own political circumstances better. We need a president who actually cares about solving problems and making your life better, and that's what Kamala Harris will do. And to help her do it, she will need a Senate full of serious public servants like Bob Casey. I'm going to talk about this man just for a second. I've known Bob for almost 20 years. I've watched his daughters grow up. I know his brothers and cousins, and let me tell you, there are a lot of brothers and cousins. And I can tell you that no one is more humble and more honest and more rooted in his community and has more integrity than Bob Casey. You know, in Washington, folks make a distinction between work horses and show horses. And Bob Casey, he's not a show pony. All the guy cares about is doing the job and looking after you, the people he was elected to serve. That's the kind of person we need to send back to Washington. That's the kind of person who's going to help Kamala get stuff done. Folks who share our values and will do what they can to move this country forward rather than backward. That's who Bob Casey is. Now, one of those values is freedom. And during election time, there are a lot of flags and there's a lot of talk about freedom. So let me talk about that just for a second. Because I don't think we've ever had an election with candidates who understand freedom more differently. For Donald Trump and his cronies, freedom means that the powerful can do whatever they please.
There's the changing of meaning of words.
Fire workers for trying to organize a union. Dodge paying their fair share of taxes. Try to throw out your votes when they lose an election. Control what women can and can't do with their bodies. In other words, for Trump, freedom is getting away with stuff. It's like he said in the middle of the pandemic. I don't take any responsibility at all. People were dying. I don't take any responsibility at all. Not sure any other president has ever uttered that statement. We have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for our families if we're willing to work. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send our kids to school without worrying if they come home. We believe that true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own life, how we worship, who we marry, what our family looks like. And real freedom also means that we're going to disagree on how each of us should live our lives. And we have to respect other people's views on these issues. You know, I've always said there are good people of conscience on both sides of the abortion divide. I respect anyone whose faith tells them that it isn't something they support. But if we believe in freedom, then we should at least agree that such a deeply personal decision should be made by the woman whose body is involved and not by politicians.
It's amazing that half the country still.
It has been fascinating to watch
Heartbreaking.
Donald Trump just tie himself into a pretzel on this issue. I mean, when he ran for president the first time, he said he would support punishing women who got an abortion. That's what he said. Thank you. Now, well, a couple weeks ago, what did he say? He said, "Don't worry, women, I'll be your protector."
Oh, that was so creepy.
I'll tell you how he protected you. He handpicked 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe versus Wade. Went out there and bragged about it. And now there are Trump abortion bans in 20 states, many of them with no exception for rape or incest. And when he's asked about it, he says, well, everybody wanted it this way. Really? He thinks women want to have to drive hundreds of miles to find a doctor who can help them? Does he think doctors want to choose between letting a woman die or going to jail for giving her the life-saving care that she needs? That is not something people chose.
Mm-mm.
Now, Donald Trump may be confused about that issue. But let's not be confused. Let's be clear about what's at stake here. If you send Bob Casey back to the Senate, he'll vote to restore reproductive freedom that women had for nearly 50 years. And if Congress passes that bill, Kamala Harris will sign it into law.
Which I think we should have done while Nancy Pelosi was there. If I may be honest, lefties, we dropped the ball.
Because
We
they
should
understand.
have.
Yep.
Freedom is about being able to make the right choice for ourselves and our families. It's about recognizing that other people have the freedom to make their own choices, even if they're different from ours. And it's an example of how, at the end of the day, this election isn't just about politics. It's about values. It's about who we are and how we treat each other. And the example we want to set for our children and for their children. And it's about character. You know, some of you know that when I was growing up, I didn't have a father in the house. But I did have plenty of people around me. Stepfather, grandparents, teachers, coaches, most of all my mom. who taught me the difference between right and wrong, who showed me what it meant to have integrity and to be honest and to be responsible and to work hard and to treat other people like we wanted them to treat us. And I had a bunch of role models out there who helped raise me to become a man, and I made mistakes, and sometimes I didn't live up to those values that had been taught the way I should have, and I was checked and I was corrected, and I internalized those values, and I tried to live up to them. And I suspect most of you grew up the same way. And you know, that process of trying to live out your best self, trying to live out your values, that doesn't stop after the age of 20 or 21. It keeps going. And as I got older, I continued to benefit from friends like Bob Casey and Josh Shapiro and others who would reinforce those values and who I didn't want to disappoint. And obviously, my wife. And my daughters, you know, who I want to make sure, Malia and Sasha are watching. I want to make sure that I don't disappoint them, and that I'm passing on these values to them. You know, and here in Pittsburgh, I'm thinking about another example. Somebody who was a dear friend of mine and who's passed away now, Dan Room, who, you know, here was a guy who won 6 Super Bowls, 8 AFC championships, had enormous wealth and power. But I remember walking around, I guess it was Heinz Field by that time. I'm old enough to remember Three Rivers Stadium. Now I know it's something else. But Dan knew the name of every single person in the Steelers organization. You know, we'd pass by a custodian and he'd say, "Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? How's the family?" All the front office staff, he cared about them. He used his influence to get more black and brown head coaches hired in the NFL. He gave back to his community. He was known for his integrity. He helped support the peace process in Northern Ireland, became my ambassador to Ireland, and continued to help encourage people who were so far apart to come together. He had character. That's what I think about so much these days, because it's so different from what we see out of the Republican nominee. And it's been one of the most disturbing aspects of this election season about Trump's rise in politics, is how we seem to have set aside the values that people like Dan stood for and Bob stood for and that I was taught, and those didn't used to be Republican Democratic values. I mean, it used to be we'd have arguments about tax policy or foreign policy, but we didn't have arguments about whether you should tell the truth or not. We didn't make excuses for people who just violated basic norms of treating people fairly and with respect. I mean, just last week, I talked about this. We had one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history. The beautiful town of Asheville, North Carolina, one of my favorite places in the country. Spent time there, amazing people.
That's you, Mac.
Devastated. Hundreds of people killed. And President Biden and Vice President Harris were down there meeting with local officials and comforting families, asking how they could help. And Donald Trump at a rally just started making up stories about the Biden administration withholding aid from Republican areas and siphoning off aid to give to undocumented immigrants. Just made the stuff up. Everybody knew it wasn't true. Even local Republicans said it was not true. And now the people of Florida are dealing with another devastating storm. And I want you to watch what happens over the next few days, just like the last time. You're going to have leaders who try to help, and then you have a guy who will just lie about it to score political points, and this has consequences. Because people are afraid, and they've lost everything, and now they're trying to figure out, how do I apply for help? And some of them may be discouraged from getting the help they need. The idea of intentionally trying to deceive people in their most desperate and vulnerable moments. And my question is, when did that become okay? I'm not looking for applause right now.
I'm not looking for applause.
I want to ask Republicans out there, people who are conservative, who didn't vote for me, who didn't agree with me. I had friends who disagreed with me on every issue. When did that become okay? Why would we go along with that? I mean, if your coworkers acted like that, they wouldn't be your coworkers very long. If you're in business and somebody you're doing business with just outright lies and manipulates, you stop doing business with them. Even if you had a family member who acted like that, you might still love them, but you tell them you got a problem. And you wouldn't put them in charge of anything. And yet, when Donald Trump lies or cheats or shows utter disregard for our Constitution, when he calls POWs losers or fellow citizens vermin, people make excuses for it. They think it's okay. They think, well, at least he's owning the libs. He's really sticking it to them. It's okay as long as our side wins. And by the way, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is. It never has been. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and for our sons, and that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America. And the good news is that you have candidates to vote for in this election that demonstrate that kind of character, who know what real strength looks like, who will set a good example and do the right thing and lead this country better than they found it. So, Pennsylvania, that is the choice in this election. It's not just about policies that are on the ballot. It is about values, and it is about character. So whether this election is making you feel excited or scared or hopeful or frustrated or anything in between, Do not just sit back and hope for the best. Get off your couch and vote. Put down your phone and vote. Grab your friends and family and vote. Vote for Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. Vote for Tim Walz as the next vice president of the United States. Vote for Bob Casey and this whole incredible Pennsylvania Democratic ticket. Help your friends and family members and neighbors and co-workers do the same. Because if enough of us make our voices heard, we will leave no doubt about the election outcome. We'll leave no doubt about who we are and what America stands for. And together we'll keep building a country that's more fair and more equal and more just and more free. That is our task. That is our responsibility. Let's go do it. Thank you, Pittsburgh. Thank you, Pennsylvania. Let's go vote.
Yeah. Wish I could.
Let's go vote. Let's go vote. All right, hold on, man. This is he knows how to do that. He's done that before. It's obvious. He was a better speaker than he was a politician. In my opinion. In all honesty, he was a better speaker than he was a politician. I think when he had a 60% majority in the Senate, which means filibuster proof, he still decided to have lackluster. The many of the things he did was lackluster in hopes that somehow he would get the other side to join in a kumbaya. And he realized way too late that while he had a 60% majority, he got half of the things he wanted done. And when he didn't have a 60% majority, they blocked 2 Supreme Court justices that he could have gotten on the court. So,
I was gonna say that.
If anybody here is thinking that I'm just here some Obama stan, I say that first because I find myself in an icky position for the past 4 years of having to tout Democrats, tout them, because that's not me. I think it hurts my mouth to be talking like this about people. Like they're all beautiful and they're all great. I cannot wait for Kamala to win and we can get rid of the pimple on the ass of America and burst it finally so that I can get back to talking about both sides like I used to and being agreeable to myself and no one else. This is what I like. I find it icky when I can't find something wrong with the other side. But the fact is, people, what he just said was so profound. When did it become okay to be this disgusting? It's so disgusting that I can't even find something wrong with the other side like I used to. I enjoyed it. It felt good. I can't. When did it become okay to be this disgusting? When did it become okay to lie openly, flagrantly about people that need help during a hurricane? When did it become okay to not give care, immediate emergency care to California during a fire because they're Democratic? And only the reason why they got it late, months late after damage was done, was because somebody was smart enough in their cabinet to go, hey, did you know that the county that the fires are in, those people voted for Trump?
Yeah.
When did it become okay to forget that happened? We forgot that happened.
Yeah.
When did it become okay to separate not just families at the border, but send the parents home, not even put their names in a tally or a piece of paper and have lost children in a cage, waiting at the border for parents that will never come back. And then when we bring the issue up to the Congress and say, you know what, we need to at least get them toothbrushes, the Republicans vote against it. When was that okay? To give children whose parents we shipped off toothbrushes is too much. And then when did it become okay to forget that happened? You forgot that happened. I know you did. You know why? Because the next day something worse happened. We're in a place now, YouTube. We're in a place now. When I get off my soapbox, I'm going to let Shelton talk about his perspective, what he thought about it, and his perspective from being a dual citizen, from living elsewhere, the world, their perspective. We're going to talk about Laura's perspective, and I definitely want to get Macaroni in for the perspective of someone who's going through the hurricane. But this is just the soapbox I want to end on. When did it become okay? That's why his speech was brilliant. Because it goes beyond right, left, and the normal bullshit. Excuse my French. It goes beyond that. The fact that we forgot about the most dangerous and disgusting things because the next day the most dangerous and disgusting thing was done again. The fact that we forgot how bad it was. We forgot that before the American Care Act, before Obamacare, companies used to be able to not give you insurance if you had pre-existing conditions. We forgot what that was like. Now, if you have cancer, you have also insurance, and we take it for granted that quickly. We forgot. We forgot that that's what it was like. You forgot that if you had a car accident a year ago and decided to get insurance the next year because you got a great job, that you would still have to prove that that leg was okay first. We forgot. It takes someone like this to remind us. And so my job for the next 24 days until November 5th is to try to remind, because I think we're in a daze. We're in a 1984 daze where truth just is whatever you think it is. My job is to try to remind us of the things that we forgot, because that is the most profound part to me of the speech, and I'm off my soapbox. I would like to know, what's your perspective? What hit you the most in the speech, and why, Mr. Bailey?
Well, I mean, what didn't hit me? Yeah. I mean, there's not much that he left unsaid in that speech, you know. But yeah, it's just disturbing because we're in a time that well, none of us have ever seen anything like this that we can recall. I mean, I know that there are countries that have been going through much more upheaval and wars and, you know, all along, but we've only ever heard of those things. We've never lived in that level of absolute chaos. And here it is. Having had the opportunity to live, work, and be an American citizen, and then now having the perspective of being a citizen, dual citizen who lives abroad, has lived abroad for many years. There are a lot of things that I had to adjust to life in Australia when I first got here. But a lot of things I thought were a little strange, heavy-handed, but it was just different. One of the things that I had to get my head around is when you become an Australian citizen, voting is compulsory.
Wow.
Voting is compulsory. They tell you it is both your privilege and your right. But
Your duty.
once I understood where they were coming from, their reasoning is if you refuse to participate, you actually relinquish your right to complain after the fact.
Mm.
And I think once I got that, I went, that makes sense. It makes absolute sense. Now you get fined if you don't vote. You get
Really?
fined each time you don't vote. It's not a lot of money. I think it's like $20 or something
It's
like
just
that.
the idea.
But if you avoid your local as well as your general and your council, and because I mean you literally vote on every level, every single time, every step of the way.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah, each voting session carries a fine if you don't vote.
Wow.
And if
And
you do vote, you get a sausage.
there you go. And the thing is now, when you move or when you change your address, even if you move interstate, when you get your new driver's license, they automatically register you to vote when you get your driver's license.
That's
So it's
how it
not
used to
something you
be.
have to make the effort to go do.
That's how it used to be in Georgia, I believe, before they changed around.
So yeah. Now there are Australians who don't vote. There are Australians who want to be off the grid, and you kind of find people who think and want to act differently
Some of
everywhere.
those sovereign citizen types.
Yeah, we have some of those
They're
here.
they're starting to spread around the world.
I've met people here who think Trump is brilliant. And I'm like, all right, stay in that corner.
Well, I'll ask you this real quick before we move on to Laura.
Mhm.
I frequently tune into news around the world because it's my job, and I
Mhm.
like to bring different perspectives here. And Sky News in, I believe it's called Sky News in Australia,
Mhm.
is like a right wing Trump arm.
Yeah,
I mean,
Sky News is part of
it's
the
very,
Fox family.
Yeah, that's
Sky
all
News is part of
Murdoch
Fox.
and
wow, that's right. So I see. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
Sky
didn't know
News
that.
is
I'm
part
glad
of the
to
Fox
hear that. To
organization.
find that out.
It's Rupert Murdoch. It's Rupert Murdoch's love child.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there we have it. All right.
Yeah.
Laura,
Well,
perspective.
being Canadian, we actually don't have the Murdoch stuff. We have a few little right-wingish media types streams and papers and whatever. But yeah, we don't have that big an influence from them. But as for the speech, I thought at first, oh, this is amazing. Of course, it's historic. Here he is with, what we knew was going to be a powerful speech, and he'd been holding it in for a long time, and then he let it
Mhm.
out, and he hit all the marks, and he did it all with no teleprompter, no farting, no no vile, repulsive terms analogy for other people, no swearing. But it was like an extended version of that press dinner roast at the first for the first one.
Yeah.
I thought, oh man, he was smacking him around. But then he went full back into Obama speech campaign, push Kamala, push the success of the Biden administration, and yeah, I just thought it was classic Obama, and I enjoyed every second of it, and I enjoyed the replays.
It was brilliant. It really was brilliant.
Outstanding. All right. So I'd love to hear from Macaroni. Not only what you thought about the speech, but if you've gotten any information on the mail-in voting in North Carolina and how that has changed. I'll let you type that. While you type that, I I want to see if I can show something just to make sure we have the right information out there. And once again, this comes from the live that I did with the Sons of Liberty, but there was a question asked about what were some of the worst lies being peddled out there, and one of them was, matter of fact, I won't watch it. I'll just talk about it because trying to find it would probably take too long. One of the questions was some people are being told that the money they're getting from FEMA is a loan. Others are being told that they're taking people's homes, and you can't go back to your house. And then there's an amalgamation of the two where not only is the money a loan, but you're putting up your house as part of the loan. If by any chance anyone tells you this stuff, or you think that people may believe this, or you're wondering why someone hasn't gotten any help yet, or they say things like, well, I decided not to get it. It could be that as a reason. Please direct them to FEMA.gov and let them see it for themselves that is not true. And there are other places that what I'll do is when this is done, I'm going to put a list of all of these places that are meant to help people who've been caught up in these lies and distractions. Thank you very much, Laura, for putting that up. Direct them there, because it doesn't matter. Obviously, if they heard that, that's because they've only been listening to the wrong side. They've only been tuned in to the crazy. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We have to be able to. I don't care who they voted for. They deserve help. They deserve help. They deserve decency and humanity. They deserve life and an abundancy of it. So wherever you hear that, wherever you see that, stop the political conversation immediately and direct them to anything you can to let them know that they can get help. Because the saddest thing in the world right now is people are not only for themselves not getting things, and so therefore coming up short, but the other side of that is people are going to FEMA places, drop places and camps, and stealing stuff because they're being told that FEMA's stealing from them, right? And so it compounds itself. So we want to make sure that we get that conspiracy theory debunked immediately, that we shut down political conversation and get those people educated immediately with the quickness, because they're actually, according to people who are on the ground, who are volunteers or work for FEMA, because you can't volunteer, work for FEMA, they're getting their pallets stolen because the people feel justified because they've been told that FEMA is stealing from them or misusing funds and misusing literal equipment, like they're taking it home to dig a hole for their dog or something. It doesn't matter why. We've got to stop that. So let's hear from Macaroni. I just want to make sure that everybody has that in their mind and front of mind. Let me see what Macaroni has to say. Gloria actually told me about mail-in voting. Apparently, the state is allowing mail-in voting for hurricane victims. So this is huge considering Asheville blue voting block. That's true. But for everybody as well. $750 immediate relief is not a loan from FEMA. Exactly, Macaroni. Thank you. It's the initial payment to provide immediate relief in the expectation of a claim. Also, guys, I also put something like this up. I believe it was on Team Box Cutter channel where we went through the entire list. So I'll make sure to have that out as well of everything you get when you apply and how to apply. Okay, so
Hey, Kimberly.
you said watch the governor speak about the change in the law and it'll explain it all. You got that link, Laura? I think what we'll do, we'll stop that here. I'll put that out separately. Or if you think it's short enough, or you think we got the correct link that we can make it happen now, we can do that. Any last words while Laura's looking that up, Mr. Shelton? Oh, wait a minute. Benny Loco, if you're still there, tell us what you thought about it as well. TV2, if you're there, tell us what you thought about it. And while we're waiting for you to type, Mr. Shelton Bailey, thank you so much for coming in, man. Any last words
No
from you?
worries, no worries. Yeah, I'm still kind of dealing with just ending work shift and time difference and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, end of my work day here. But no, I thought it was really brilliant. And like I said, all we can do is continue to be encouraging for the people that need the encouragement and that will listen. You know what I mean? You can only do so much. But no, I have never really been one to care for or be heavily involved in politics. But with what I've seen taking place over the last 10 years, man, it's changed my whole outlook on everything. And it's even changed my outlook on the politics that surrounds me now,
Yeah.
you know, here where I am. But yeah, I'm not as consumed with it as you are, Doug, but believe me, I watch American news now daily, sometimes several times a day. On my break, I grab my tablet, I grab something, and I want to know what is going on because it's really, really concerning,
Wow.
you know. But the beacons of hope, Kamala speaks for herself, you know. So Kamala is just, she's a brilliant person. I mean, her resume is outstanding. The person that she chose as her running mate, again, outstanding. Tip of the hat. And French, you know, the chef's kiss every step of the way. I mean, there's been no blunders, you know. On the other side, well, that's just a comedy of errors, really. So let them keep it up. Hopefully, enough eyes are opening and people are coming to realize. I think it's a painfully slow process, but I think it is indeed happening. People are growing tired of it. You know,
Yeah.
so
I think if anything, what comes from this, as long as it doesn't continue, um, when after Kamala is elected, and then after the fallout from the right wing lawsuits and violence that will surely come afterwards. I've been telling people to be ready for that.
mhm.
After all of that is done, I think the one good thing that America is going to have that most other European countries do have is their first experience with dictatorship and political violence. It's never something that's happened here. We've always had peaceful elections. Half the people don't even vote because everything is always all good and they're all corrupt. Ask people in France. They march every day because they realize that the that is the only way to make sure things don't go to south because it can. Ask people in Germany; they're always on the picket line. They're voting in every election for everything because they realize how fast it can go south. People in England, the same thing. They haven't had much problems in a while, but ever since Brexit, all of a sudden it's come back to full focus.
Yep.
Ask people who in Italy, ask them with a 90 something percent voting rate because anyone who's had to deal with the proposition of not being able to vote when you want to, with the proposition of a madman at the doorstep talking, spewing lies, and infecting the mind of a people that you thought were your best friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, and you see it actually happen, that type of memory is one thing America didn't have. And our complacency has brought on what we see here. So at the end of it all, I think this will be the jolt that we need to remember that we don't take democracy for granted.
No, seriously.
We don't take it for granted.
I sure don't.
Do we want to do the governor talking, or should I put that out separately? I think I'll put it out separately because I want to go through it and maybe do a video on it about being able to vote in North Carolina and the changes. I'll do it separately. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Macaroni, for the info. I'm going to make a little video about it, and I'll have that out by tomorrow for everyone's to share and let people know what's going on over there and how to vote and the changes. I'd like to thank Benny Loco and TV2 for being a part of the conversation, and I'd like to offer them now the chance to speak, or if they have anything else to say about it. I gave them time to write, but I didn't see you writing out there, Benny.
That TV2, you know, I was a pain in his rear all day, but you know, he gets busy, and then you know he's probably getting his rest.
That's what it is.
Mac,
That's what it is.
Mac, thanks very much. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks Benny, Gloria, Kimberly, welcome. We got who else? Mac. Oh, everybody that came tonight. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Duff,
Darla
Indigo,
Mar, my
Stephanie.
hero.
Darla, you voted. We're so proud. Bill, Kevin, Midas Kevin. All right, everybody. You have a fantastic weekend. It was wonderful to meet you, Shelton. Thank you very much.
Yes,
for
love your
joining
videos,
me.
Laura. Love your videos.
Thank you so much. I'm getting into the groove. So, all right. Well,
All
good
right,
night.
guys. That's it.
Okay.
We'll have stuff for you later on. Buy some merch. Click that like button. Share this.
Do it.
Share something else. We got a bunch of videos up. Press the like button, subscribe, and if you want to join, we'll have more live things like this that's made just for people who join the channel. So think about that. Help support us, and we love you all, man. Have a good one.